The dojo was alive with energy. Students, spectators, and martial arts enthusiasts had gathered for a friendly demonstration, but none could predict the twist that was about to unfold. A young black belt, lean, confident, and full of bravado, strutted into the center of the room. He flexed his muscles theatrically and shot a cocky grin at the audience. "Watch closely," he said, "this will be over in seconds." Across the room, an old veteran quietly adjusted his gi, his posture calm, composed, and seemingly unassuming. His hair was streaked with silver, his eyes held decades of untold stories, and his hands, calloused from years of service, rested at his sides. The black belt laughed, clearly thinking the old man would be no match for his youthful strength and speed. "Old man," the black belt called, his voice dripping with arrogance, "why don't you show us what you've got? Or are you just here to nap?" The crowd laughed, some nervously, others excited to see the display. The veteran didn't respond immediately. He simply took a deep breath, exhaled slowly, and met the young fighter's gaze. There was no anger, no fear, just quiet confidence. The room seemed to hold its breath. Something about the veteran's presence demanded respect, even before the fight began. As the black belt bounced on his toes, ready to attack, a sudden tension filled the air. This wasn't going to be just another sparring match. What no one expected was the depth of skill, patience, and wisdom that the old veteran possessed. And in just moments, the dojo would witness a lesson far greater than any punch or kick. The veteran's name was John. He had spent decades serving in the military, facing situations most could never imagine. He had traveled to distant lands, survived harsh conditions, and trained in countless forms of combat. But today, he was just John, a man who found peace in the quiet rhythm of life after service. Martial arts had been a lifelong passion, a way to maintain strength, discipline, and focus. Yet, he never sought glory or recognition. Unlike the young black belt, John didn't crave applause. His experience had taught him that true power wasn't shown through theatrics or ego, it was measured in patience, timing, and precision. As he stood there in the dojo, the chatter of the crowd seemed distant. John's eyes scanned the room, observing not just the black belt but the reactions of every spectator. There was a calm intensity in his movements, subtle yet commanding. Every muscle in his body was relaxed but ready, a perfect balance of readiness and restraint. For John, this was not a fight to prove something to others, it was a moment to demonstrate the value of discipline and the hidden strength of experience. But the young black belt was unaware. He saw only an opportunity to humiliate a man he considered old and weak. What followed would be a shocking reminder that appearances can be deceiving. The black belt bounced forward, cracking his knuckles loudly, his grin widening. "Come on, old man," he taunted. "Let's see if you're as tough as you look." A few spectators whispered among themselves, some concerned, others curious. The tension in the room intensified. John nodded slowly. "I accept," he said simply, his voice calm and unwavering. The young fighter's smirk faltered slightly, though he tried to hide it. He had assumed this would be a short, entertaining demonstration, and yet, something in the veteran's demeanor unsettled him. The referee called the match to begin, and the black belt lunged forward immediately, confident in his speed and strength. The crowd cheered, anticipating a swift victory. But John's stance was flawless. He shifted his weight just slightly, sidestepped the first punch effortlessly, and redirected the momentum. With a subtle movement that barely moved his own body. The audience gasped. The young black belt stumbled, caught off guard by the unexpected skill. He tried again, faster this time, launching a series of punches and kicks. Each one was met with calm, calculated responses. John wasn't trying to harm him, he was teaching a silent lesson. Raw power could never match experience and composure. The fight escalated. The black belt's movements grew faster, his energy more aggressive. But John was unshaken. Each punch, kick, or feint was met with precision, every motion deliberate, measured, and effective. It was almost like watching a dance. The younger fighter's raw energy contrasted with the veteran's fluid grace. The dojo echoed with the sound of feet sliding across the mats, the impact of controlled blocks, and the occasional exclamation from the audience. Students whispered, "How is he doing that?" And, "This old man, he's unbelievable." The black belt's face, once confident and cocky, now carried hints of frustration and confusion. John spoke softly, almost under his breath, patience, timing, control, words that the young fighter couldn't comprehend in the moment but would later understand fully. A small smile flickered on John's face. He wasn't trying to humiliate the black belt, he was guiding him, showing him a lesson far beyond a simple fight. The young black belt tried a high kick, hoping to surprise his opponent, but John countered with perfect timing. The kick was deflected, and the black belt nearly lost balance. The audience leaned forward, mesmerized. They were witnessing a master class in skill, humility, and the quiet, devastating power of experience. The black belt's frustration grew. He had expected a quick match, a display of dominance, yet every move he attempted was anticipated. Sweat dripped down his forehead, and his breathing grew heavier. He realized, perhaps for the first time, that he was not facing an ordinary opponent. John's movements were minimal yet effective. A slight shift in stance here, a subtle deflection there, each action carrying decades of combat knowledge. The audience watched, spellbound, as the young black belt threw everything he had, only to meet calm resistance. "Stop underestimating people," John thought quietly, not saying a word. His calm presence amplified the lesson. Every dodge and redirection communicated more than words ever could. And then, in a sudden move, John saw an opening, not to attack, but to guide the black belt into humility. The young fighter launched one final combination, but John's timing was flawless. A light, controlled push sent the black belt stumbling forward. The mat cushioned his fall, but the message was clear: arrogance meets reality, and experience triumphs over ego. The black belt lay on the mat, stunned. For a moment, silence overtook the room. No laughter, no movement, just disbelief. The young fighter's eyes widened, realizing he had been bested, not with brute force, but with skill, patience, and composure. The audience erupted in applause, cheers, and gasps. Some couldn't believe what they had seen, others whispered that this would be a story remembered for years. The black belt slowly rose to his feet, his pride bruised but his respect for John beginning to take root. John approached, extending a steady hand. "Strength isn't about power alone," he said, his voice calm but firm. "It's about discipline, timing, and knowing yourself. Today, you learned more than just fighting. You learned respect." The young black belt shook John's hand, humbled. His confidence had been shattered, replaced by admiration. The lesson was indelible, the impact profound. And for the audience, the moment was unforgettable, a true testament to the power of experience over youth and arrogance. After the match, spectators gathered around, discussing every detail of the fight. Some students approached John to ask questions, eager to learn from his techniques and wisdom. Others congratulated the young black belt for handling the lesson gracefully, even in defeat. The dojo, once filled with laughter and casual energy, now carried an air of reverence. People realized they had witnessed more than a sparring match, they had seen a life lesson unfold before their eyes. Humility, patience, and respect were woven into every motion, every glance, and every heartbeat of the encounter. John smiled quietly, watching as the young black belt trained, now with renewed focus and humility. The day had shown that learning never ends, and even those full of confidence have room to grow. Life, like martial arts, is a continuous teacher. The story of the black belt and the old veteran carries a clear message: never judge someone by age or appearance. True strength lies not in speed or power but in discipline, patience, and experience. The young black belt left the dojo a little wiser, a little humbler. And the audience carried that lesson with them, reflecting on moments in their own lives where arrogance met reality. This wasn't just a fight, it was a story about respect, growth, and the wisdom that comes with time. What would you have done in that dojo? Could you face someone with decades of experience and remain humble? Share your thoughts below, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more inspiring story-based content. Sometimes, the most important lessons come from the most unexpected places.